It's pretty rad. Like she's pretty prolific, like all
Oh,
around.
there it is. Yeah.
Because like she went from that to being in like SG1, and like she did the voice of like Morrigan in Dragon Age Origins. Also,
Everybody wants a goth MILF girlfriend. And
uh,
that's the first game that gave it to me. Damn it.
greetings, peacekeepers. Welcome to episode 77 of the Laser Comb Podcast, the show where we comb through random episodes of classic TV with a fine-tooth laser. I am, as always, Christopher Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm your other host, NeoCal.
Hi, Neo Cal.
Hello, Christopher Siege.
Cal of the Neo.
That's right.
Cal.
Of the Neo clan.
Cal, son of Neo.
Cal, son of Neo. Of the Neo clan.
Yeah.
Duncan MacLeod of the clan MacLeod.
I remember meeting someone a long time ago who was actually named Duncan MacLeod, like IRL. Actually named.
Yeah, it's
Duncan
it's
MacLeod.
April's husband.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. And I thought like it was like the most like badass thing ever that he was named Duncan MacLeod. And I remember at a party like telling him about that, and he was just like, "What? I don't get it." And I'm like, "Oh, well, you're no fun then."
Was he like playing dumb or like
Mm.
actually didn't?
No, I actually didn't know and didn't seem to really understand or care why I thought it was awesome that he shared a name with the dude from Highlander.
Oh, see, when I had mentioned it to him, I thought that he had heard that so much he was tired of it.
Oh,
But
who knows?
maybe he went his whole life and had never heard it up until he met you. And then after he met you and I, he heard it like 1,000 times. And that's why we were never friends with them.
That, and he was also kind of just a really boring dude. I barely remember. I don't even remember what the guy
How
looks like.
dare.
Shit talking this guy that I met like a handful of times, like
How dare.
15 years ago.
The clan MacLeod is going to come for you, man.
Yeah, I know. There can be only one motherfucker. But we're not talking about Highlander the series, which amazingly enough, I'm surprised none of our patrons have actually pitched that to us. But we're definitely yeah. Although I do actually want to do a Highlander podcast, so maybe we can save
Oh, I
it
know
for
you
that.
do.
we can save it for that.
What are we covering?
This week on the Lasercomb podcast, we are doing another Patreon pick. This time from our patron Daniel. Shout out to him. And he pitched us a show called Farscape.
My name is John Crichton, an astronaut, a radiation wave hit, and I got shot through a
Now
wormhole.
I'm lost in some distant part of the universe on a ship, a living ship, full of strange alien life forms. Help me. Listen, please. Is there anybody out there who can hear me?
I'm being hunted by an insane military commander.
Doing everything I can.
I'm just looking for a way home.
Perhaps you've heard of it.
Perhaps. I had seen this show before a handful of times, like literally like 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But it was always kind of a show that I kind of just would catch like random episodes of, like if it was on
Yeah.
Space Channel in Canada.
Same. It was never on a convenient. A lot of my younger TV watching was through convenience.
Yeah.
And it was either I never paid attention enough to catch it, but whenever it was on, I was always like, oh, it's like the hot alien bitches and like creepy puppet sci-fi. Right. Like the less risque, the Lex.
Yeah, Lex.
Remember the Lex?
Lex was a TV movie, wasn't it? And then it was a series,
And
I
then it
believe.
became a yeah. Yeah,
Because I remember
exactly.
Space Channel always specifically mentioning it as Lex the series.
Yep. Yeah, it was like a movie and then a TV series. And Farscape, as far as I can tell, there's been no movies, but I also haven't Googled if there are. Let me.
No, there were actually. There were 2 TV movies that were released after the show ended
Like
uh,
wrap it up.
to kind of wrap everything up. Yeah.
This show is rated really high on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, people love this show. I remember even at the time, like, because like I've been into sci-fi my entire life, and
Yeah.
I remember in the early 2000s, I was really trying to like branch out and like find like new sci-fi shows to watch, and Farscape was always like really high on the list. Firefly was up there too, although not the biggest fan of Firefly.
How dare you? Basically, look at this guy. He
I
hates
know.
Firefly and he hates Farscape. Get him.
I hate Firefly. I hate Farscape. I hate Star Trek: The Next Generation. I hate Star Wars. I hate Stargate. Anything with stars,
Basically,
basically.
anything with stars in it or in the name.
Yeah, get that fucking telescope away from me, bud.
Yeah, we all know that the stars are actually just like small holes in the dome covering the flat Earth.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know
I
why they're
start.
put there.
I started playing a game last night called Those Who Remain because it's free on Game Pass. Came out a few years ago now.
That sounds
Uh,
familiar.
but the first time you encounter it, it's another one of those like Alan Wake style, it's a first person game, but it's very much in the vein of Alan Wake and like, ooh, stay in the light. That's the only way you can be safe from the monsters.
This
But
game, right?
when the monsters appear, you see their eyes glowing, and they kind of look like stars in the darkness. It's a really cool
Oh.
visual. Unfortunately, the game is janky as fuck, and I gave up on it
Oh.
because it's an indie game in all of the worst ways.
But stylistically, it had some cool moments.
It did, yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
Speaking of cool moments, episode 15 of Farscape is what we landed on through the old random number generator. The name of this episode is let's see, what is it? It's
What is it? It is Durka Returns.
Durka
A
Returns.
single
Yes.
Durka.
A single single Durka.
A single Durka Returns. There'd be no reason. I've never heard that word before. There'd be no reason to say it multiple times.
If
Although,
I'm not going to go too much into it,
Siege and I had.
but if you've seen the movie Team America: World Police, which if you're listening to this podcast, I assume you probably are around our age and have seen Team America before. We had a little bit of fun with the name Durka.
we may have, yeah. Gifts were exchanged.
Gifts from Team America were exchanged. Yes.
An
I
exchanging of gifts was had.
I love that the signal that the actor dude in Team America.
Oh, I'll give you a signal. What is it going to be? The signal,
I love that that's a gift.
right? I still, even though it's been forever since I've seen that movie, I still remember so much of that. You know what? Say what you want about like trash movies or whatever, but like if you can remember them and it's been a decade
Yeah.
since you've seen it, then like clearly it had some impact on you.
I
like
just
Tom
rewatched Team America recently, so it's kind of fresh in
okay,
my mind.
I have not seen it in forever. It was one of those ones where I had like 5 movies when I was in college.
Right.
One was Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah, one was
It's a good choice.
Team yeah.
Holds
One was
up
Team
mostly,
America.
too.
Yeah.
I went back
Dude,
to
did we ride a fucking cheetah? Uh,
I went back to Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle maybe about 4 or 5 years ago because it was just showed up randomly on Amazon Prime. It was like, hey, you might be interested in watching this, and I'm like, you know what, I am.
I am.
Or the part
And
where it's like the middle of the night and Harold and Kumar are like standing at the crosswalk, and
I
Kumar.
knew you were. Yeah.
That's my favorite gag in the whole movie. Kumar is like, dude, why don't you cross? And he's like, well, it's it's a red light. And he's like, dude, it's the middle of the night. There's no one around. Just fucking cross. Just jaywalk. And he's like, Harold's like, oh, fine. He takes one step down, and all of a sudden, woo! Cop cars.
Even though they were
into
just
frame.
looking around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my favorite gag in the entire film.
Oh, and when they pull up to, I can't remember what it is, but like a different fast food joint, and that one guy is like, "Oh man, if I could go for some." The guy at the window of the fast food place is like, "Oh, I could go for some White Castle right now. Those tiny like little burgers. Oh man, and trust me, they're better than ours. You don't want to know what's in our special sauce."
He was played by the always great Anthony Anderson.
That's his name, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like, well,
Extremely versatile actor too. Like he can do like stupid ass like comedy like that, or like play like the guy in the first Transformers movie who is like, I downloaded some MP3s off the internet, but who hasn't? Who hasn't? He can do that.
That's him.
That's him. Yeah. He can also do like extremely like serious, like intimidating, like fucking criminals, and like he was the main villain of season 4 of The Shield.
Oh,
and, like that is not a comedic role that he's playing, but you believe it.
Animal semen.
Anyway, Anthony Anderson, great actor.
Well, Anthony Anderson isn't in Durka Returns.
No, he's not, sadly.
In fact, even though it's episode 15, there's no mention of Durka Rises. So odd that they introduce a new character in this episode, but it's titled Durka Returns. And as far as I know, he hasn't been mentioned and he never comes back. You'd think it would be called, what's her name? Chiana?
Chiana, yeah.
Yeah, you'd think they'd,
Chiana
it would be
arrives.
called like Chiana Arrives. There you go. But there's...
I'm going to see if Captain Durka was in any other episode. Every time I say Durka, it's just the temptation is there.
It's there. Muhammad Ali.
Oh God. Oh, we're gonna get canceled.
Surely we've already been.
Probably.
But so the premise of the episode is, and this is us going in like we never watched it episode to episode. We caught it here or there. And I always felt like this should have been something that I watched all the way through.
Oh, Captain Durka is in 3 episodes.
Oh shit! Is he in one before this?
Let's find out.
Because then I'll eat. Looks like I'm going to eat my words.
Well, okay. He's in 2 episodes according to IMDb. Oh, okay. Here we go. Yeah, he is in one before this. He's in the 5th episode.
Oh shit!
Which
well,
was
there
called
we go.
Back and Back and Back to the Future.
Great titles.
Yes.
So,
but I mean, honestly, though, like while I was watching it, I'm like, who knows if this character has actually like appeared in the show beforehand? But the episode, just watching it like on its own, the episode does a good job of explaining like why we should not like this dude.
Honestly, or it's not really the subplot. Well, it is the subplot. This show's got like, it's got spine.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. Like, this is serious business.
Well,
right?
And
like
the
recognizing like a Nazi officer after you thought like, the trials got him, seeing him on like while you're at work.
Or where
right?
like the puppet dude, Rigel, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Just straight up like throws a fucking grenade to like take the dude out and like with no concern that one of his crewmates is there too.
Right? Just
I'm
like,
like-
fuck this guy.
I'm like, wow, this show's not pulling any punches.
And it only failed because like his his IED, his improvised explosive device, like he was in a rush to make it and he like didn't balance the right crystals or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Some
So
kind
it
of
like
sci-fi
didn't
mumbo-jumbo.
explode like it should have.
Yeah.
And instead it was like a concussive, like a flash bang, and it kind of just stuns them for a bit. But yeah, you know what? Let us back up before. What is Farscape?
You tell me.
Okay, I'll tell you. Farscape is a sci-fi.
Features the adventures of Colonel Mitchell
of Colonel Mitchell of the
from the SGC and Vala.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was the
Former
early
love
years.
interest of Dr. Daniel Jackson.
Right. And that's right. And but this was their early days.
They have an episode. I think it's the first episode that actually introduces Vala. I think it's in season 7. There's an episode where her and Daniel Jackson are like on a ship together and like fighting. It's kind of a sexy fight, I'm gonna say, especially for TV.
Okay, find that
that
scene for me. Find that scene for me, you son of a bitch.
Like there's even during the fight like one moment where she's like straight up like she's trying to do like a specific like maneuver on him, but she's straight up just like has her legs like wrapped around his head and is like straddling him, like trying to flip him over.
And there's some of that going on. Some of that going on here. Not legs overhead though. But
yeah. Sexy fight, especially if you're into Claudia Black, as I mean, well, why wouldn't you be?
Why wouldn't you be? This is all types of person would be into Claudia Black, is what you're saying.
Most types, maybe.
Yeah. How do you pronounce like the dude's name? John Crichton?
John Crichton, yeah.
Crichton, yeah. So here's the thing.
So
it's a sci-fi.
Real quick,
Go ahead,
folks. So the joke that I was making there is the actors who play John Crichton. What's his name again? Ben Browder.
Ben Browder. Yeah.
Ben Browder.
And
so Ben
Aaron's
Browder
son.
and Claudia Black, who kind of made it big with this show, would later go on to star in the later seasons of Stargate SG-1.
And exactly.
And I didn't really watch this show much back in the day, but I did watch a fuckload of Stargate. So whenever I see them, I just think of Colonel Mitchell and Vala.
Yeah. And they were on, because like this was, what year was this? This was 1999.
99 to 2004.
And they were on Stargate. What years was that?
I think 2005 to 2007. So pretty much when this show ended,
basically after, yeah,
they jumped right to SG-1.
They worked well together. They liked sci-fi. They were tired of puppets. It worked out for everyone. So basically, the premise of Farscape, in a very small nutshell, is there's an American astronaut. He's in space, accidentally hits a wormhole. Pops up across the universe, across the galaxy, way off somewhere else in space opera.
Now, as I understood it, Farscape is the name of his experimental shuttle that he was flying when he got pulled through the wormhole. I believe it was called the Farscape 1.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, and it was an experimental mission to begin with. Yeah. And he ends up teaming up with different people joined the cast. They have different levels of prosthetics. Some are just puppets, some are big, some are small, some are humanoid. All a lot of hot bitches, some in fetishy bondage gear, a lot of hot alien chicks. I'm just saying. Um, oh, actually, the dude, the weird like, I'm just gonna call him Farscape Klingon, like the
Yeah,
7 foot
yeah.
tall like dude,
That's
right?
basically what he
Um,
is. Great actor though. The cast in this show is
actually
fantastic.
great. And you know what? Man, do the fucking puppets deliver. Holy shit. Like, and
The
Jim Henson
yeah.
Studios, yeah.
So I after while I was watching the show, I'm like, wow, the puppet work and animatronics in this show are fucking top notch. And then afterward, I'm like, oh, it was done by Jim Henson's Creature Shop. That
Yeah.
that completely makes sense. But also, to what you were saying about the puppets delivering, the guy who does the voice of the puppet Rigel,
Yeah.
the one who was tortured by Captain Durka Durka, is man. This guy is like clearly like a classically trained like British like theater actor because
Oh, he's great.
his delivery is like Shakespearean.
Never do I stop and think, once or twice actually, but never do I stop and think that that's a puppet.
Yeah,
Because holy shit. Like, even when he's like strapped to the table and like he's gonna be like tortured by it, man, this show deals with some shit, first of
yeah.
all. We got brainwashing, we got torture, we got like, is it ethical to change wire people's brains differently as a form of rehabilitation? Like, there's a there's a lot of we got sexy straddling, we got sensually feeding hot chicks with white hair through bars while they're handcuffed. I'm there's a lot here. There's a lot here. People that you we got badass looking dudes with like steel eyes. Before that, he kind of just looked like Malfoy. Draco Malfoy's like dad.
So the ship that they're on is called Moya,
Lucius.
which is a living
Moira,
ship.
right?
Moya, it's a living
Moya.
ship. Um,
Yeah, it's a living ship. And again, maybe Christopher has seen it more than I have, but again, like I was referencing the Lex. Um, it's like a symbiosis, and they had called it a not a Titan class. I can't Leviathan at some point,
that sounds right.
and that must mean like biological like type of ship.
Yeah. It's a living like organic ship. So Moya, they attempt to go into what the episode begins with them attempting to go into. I think they call it Starlight, but it's basically hyperspace. Something goes wrong and it fails, and they end up disabling a ship carrying what was the race of people they were called?
The peacekeepers, or no, those are the humans.
Yeah,
right?
no. Captain Durka is a former peacekeeper, and so is Claudia Black.
Yes, and the thing is, whenever people see Crichton, right, they're quick to go, "Oh shit!" Like a peacekeeper. Basically, the humans are the bad guys in this in this galaxy.
Nibari. So it's
Nibari.
It's a Nibari ship. So they end up disabling a Nibari ship, and
Right.
a very like timid, like not timid, but very stoic, like Nibari
Stoic, and yeah,
comes aboard, and he brings with him this like guy with like an eye patch and long white hair with him, and they're like, "Hey, you disable our ship. We were transporting this prisoner. We would like it,
bro. What the fuck?
we would like it if we could hitch a ride with you, since you fucked with our shit, basically." And they're kind of like, "Yeah, okay, that's fair." But then
And Rigel,
the Shakespearean puppet man himself, starts losing his shit
and having like PTSD flashbacks. Actually, on like in the episode, he has multiple flashbacks.
Yeah, because apparently, so the dude with the long white hair and the eye patch is the former Captain Durka, and he's like, He was like, "That man is my jailer and torturer. He is not to be trusted. I will kill him where he stands."
And he hawks the biggest, greasiest, slimiest loogie in this guy's face.
First time I've ever seen a puppet spit on someone. Gotta say,
Oh.
gotta hand it to Farscape.
There we go. First and last time a puppet hawked like a huge loogie. Maybe his race has that as a self-defense mechanism. Because for like the next 30 seconds, they really linger on this. He's like, no, he's right. As he like wipes fucking slime off of his face and explains that basically the peacekeepers are like the Alliance, the Imperium, they're bad guys. They're like the space Nazis. Especially this guy.
It's funny that you mentioned the Alliance because as we meet the like animatronic slash puppet that is the pilot of Moya, Mass Effect 2 came out several years after this, and let me tell you, let me tell you, the collectors look exactly like
the collectors look exactly like Pilot.
Yeah, I'm
right?
like, huh? I see what you did there, BioWare. I'm not mad about
hold
it.
On. But... You're right.
Assuming control of this form.
Assuming direct control.
This hurts you.
This hurts you. Fucking Harbinger, man.
Yeah. Yeah, they look exactly like Pilot.
Farscape Pilot. Okay, I'm looking at it. Now, Mass Effect collectors. Yeah. Like scarier versions of like possessed. Yeah. There's a little bit more humanism in human features in Pilot, but basically he's a giant like bug thing that can like who has like a way bigger brain, and he can interface with Moya.
Yeah.
And Moya, by the way, is a living creature. She gets angry. She can be hurt. She can like hold grudges and like that kind of thing, but she's a greater being than just the little parasites inside of her.
And indeed, we find out later on in the episode that after Rigel throws the grenade and tries to like kill Captain Durka and John Crichton in the process, the ship's actually mad at him about it.
Yeah.
For like detonating a grenade inside of her.
Yeah. And indeed, like we had mentioned, Moya's pregnant.
Yes,
which is a big part of the episode.
So that we find out later on in the episode that the reason engaging like the Starlight Drive failed was because she's pregnant,
and there are resources from the ship being directed towards
incubating her baby as opposed to using it to like enter hyperspace. It's interesting. It makes sense. It's interesting.
I fucking like that. Yeah. And they're like, oh, we're gonna have to wait a bit. That's it. Just means they can't like do it repeatedly, right? And so the people that they bring aboard the ship, one is a long white-haired Lucius Malfoy with an eye patch. And the other is a soft-spoken blue.
Like I mentioned,
jailer,
the stoic guy, and
the jailer.
Who we find out is Captain Durka,
and they're like, we have a very dangerous, prisoner that we need to bring to your brig. And I'm like, oh, dangerous prisoner? It's Chiana.
Yeah, it's Chiana. And as soon as I saw her, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I remember. This chick becomes a regular on the show.
I remember her in the intro. Yeah.
Now, it's interesting because they kind of play into the trope of like John Crichton immediately like kind of takes a liking to her and is like somewhat sympathetic to her.
Immediately he's like, and it's just,
damn girl,
you don't even try to pretend. And the very stoic jailer man who's like the same race as Chiana is like, now don't let her, or what did he say? He's like, have you ever been poisoned by like the blah 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 plant? And he's like, not yet. And he's like, beautiful but deadly. And then Crichton is like, oh yeah, I know, blah blah blah. Don't judge things based on their appearance, because he immediately picks up on Crichton having a boner for this chick.
Yeah, and they go right into the trope of her being like, "Oh, I'm being held against my will, and it's not for just reasons. I didn't do anything wrong." And he's all like, "Tell me more, a young attractive woman.
Right.
Let me help you." But I like that they kind of turn that on its head a little bit, because like even though she isn't as bad as they make her out to be, she's still kind of fucking crazy.
Yes, as we see throughout the episode.
Yeah,
And
she's not as bad as they say, but she is still kind of unhinged.
and hard to predict, and like she just attacks him later when she
Yeah.
breaks out for no reason, and she's like hiding in the shadows like Batman, like shit talking him, and I'm like, whoa, dramatic. But she like attacks him, and she's like, turn around, and he's like, no lady, you're holding a weapon, turn around. Turns around and she tries to attack him, and I'm like, what
What
is
do you
this
think was gonna
bitch's
happen?
deal? Like but yeah, there's a
I like that
part.
they give her like big, like black eyes too, so she always kind of looks like crazed.
Yes. Yeah, I like that too. What we're saying is we like the blue goth chick on the crazy blue goth chick on the show.
Actually, that's not what I'm saying at all.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying. I she was actually one of the things about the episode that I didn't like. Now, I know I just mentioned that I liked that they kind of turned that trope on its head a little bit by actually making her like kind of unhinged. But I found the actress who played her was kind of overacting most of the time.
I found the first half of the episode. These are like hour-long slots on TV. So this was like a 50-minute.
Yeah, a little too long.
I forgot that the show was that long, which may have been why I didn't watch it when I was younger. I couldn't commit to anything for an hour.
Well, and honestly, like there are, I don't know about nowadays, but back in the day, there used to be less commercials, and indeed, there were even less. This is an Australian show. There were less commercials in on during international broadcasts. So this was 50 minutes long, but like the version of the episode that we would have been watching on Space back in the day probably had stuff edited out to it, edited out of it
That's what I was wondering to fill
get
the.
it to get it down to like 42 minutes so they could like put they could put like a regular amount of commercials you would have in an hour programming block in
Yeah,
on Canadian
I never
TV.
thought about that. You're right, and that happens very often.
Very, very often.
People don't realize now that the shows they often watch on being streamed are longer than when they watched them
You
when
know
they
when
were
I
younger.
you know when I took note of this was back in the early 2000s when I bought the first season of MASH on DVD, because the episodes
Oh, yeah.
the episodes were like 27, 28 minutes long. But the versions of the episodes that I was watching in syndication, you know, like 20 years after the fact in like the 90s, had like there were more commercials in a half-hour programming block by this point, so they would actually have like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 minutes of the episode edited out. So when I was watching the show on DVD for the first time, I was seeing things that I'd never seen before.
And in this circumstance, as far as Farscape goes, there's a lot that they could have cut this down to. Here's the thing: first half of the episode actually really good. Basically, it's setting everything up, right? So Chiana is in jail. Crichton finds out that and they need to remove Rigel because like it's like he's gonna try to kill Durka.
And indeed, he does multiple times.
And and but the you just said the race of like these like blue people, but
the
Nabari, but basically they don't believe in like capital punishment or like whatever. What they do is like put you in cryo, and they use like reprogramming in
Yeah,
your
they
brain.
yeah, they use mental conditioning to basically like strip away like all of the like bad parts of your brain.
And that's why he's so mild. And
Yeah, so that's why Captain Durka is apparently a changed man, and this is what they want to do to Chiana
yeah.
because she is a
And
deviant.
she's a deviant. Ooh. And Crichton comes and he's like, oh, I figured you could use some food. And her hands are bound, right? So she goes up, and there's a very sensual, I was half expecting her to like lick or like suck his finger or something like that, where he's feeding her what looks like a
A
piece of
fruit leather.
Wrigley.
It looks like a fruit leather.
Yeah. It looks like a fruit
This,
roll up or like a Wrigley's piece of gum. Yeah.
or you know those like
Fruit by
I
the
think
foot.
I no, not fruit by the foot. You get them in the produce department of grocery stores. They're made by
Oh,
Sunripe.
yeah.
Sunripe fruit leathers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah. It looks
in
like
my
a,
head I associate those with kindergarten, like mentally.
right. Me
Um,
too.
but yeah, they're still a thing. Yeah, Sunripe fruit leathers. It looks like that's what he's feeding her.
And she eats it very sensually and kind of explains that, you know, she just you know, like hopped on different spaceships without using a voucher. She stole when she was hungry. You know, she like never did anything like ultimately bad.
What has this woman done? They won't tell you because they're embarrassed.
Oh
Because you
yeah,
wouldn't
that's a line.
understand.
They won't tell you because they're embarrassed. And I'm like, go on. Why don't you tell me? And the dude can like shock her by like touching these nodes on his
What?
head.
Stop me if I'm wrong, but it involved a blindfold, a fifth of vodka, and a donkey.
No, no. Oh, not the vodka. Okay.
No, actually, it was gin we were drinking.
And oh, what ends up happening? And they have that little like moment. She gets shocked. She has a shock collar. Her writhing on the ground, making sounds when she's being shocked. There's just a lot of things that are fetishy about the show. Like they knew what they were doing. And he's like, hey, knock it off. There's no point in like
I think you're
torturing her
revealing,
just cuz.
I think you're revealing your kinks to the world here.
Okay, I think I speak for everyone when I and yeah, so they shock the goth chick. She falls in the ground moaning, and he's like, hey, knock it off. Let me do it. No. And in the meantime, they're trying to repair the ship. The Durka man and like milk toast dude, brainwashed jailer are trying to fix the ship. And well, wouldn't you know it, Rigel he goes bowling for Durka in this. There's the episode title, Bowling for Durka.
I thought you were going to say bowling for Columbine for a second.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Rigel puts on a trench coat. No. Okay. I was going to stop there.
Listening to Marilyn Manson.
Listening to no, Rigel seems like the type who would listen to Rob Zombie while he builds his improvised explosive device. So he rolls this thing while Crichton is talking to Durka.
I like how, because we see another one later in the episode. I like how grenades in this universe look like silver bowling balls
with
and
LEDs.
Indeed, even Colonel Mitchell rolls it like a bowling ball.
Yeah,
like it straight up just looks like he's going bowling.
It might be too heavy to throw. Maybe you get better distance if you roll them. On the other hand, if you see it coming, you can just punt that fucker right back where it came from. So yeah, the explosion goes off, but it's not quite an explosion. It's like a flashbang. And Crichton, who was in the middle of talking to Durka, and Durka explaining, yeah, it was pretty bad, fucked up dude. And it's thanks to the mental reconditioning that I'm not a fucked up little guy anymore. And he's like, okay, I suppose. Hey, what's this thing? Beep, 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 beep. Ah, shit. And Rigel comes over and kind of like looks at Crichton, and he's like, just the emotion on this puppet's face kind of goes, shame Crichton was involved in the blast. Oh well. And he like uses his like little hover chair.
Yeah.
Right. He's like, oh well, you know.
Like I mentioned earlier, this show doesn't really pull any punches.
No.
Like, he
dude
was
just
just
like tried to assassinate.
He was just willing to kill one of his crewmates.
Oh, shame that Crichton is here. And he goes over, and Durka's like still kind of alive, and he's like looking at him. And I was expecting him to take out like a gun and be like, I've waited for this moment, like, and just fucking shoot him in the head. But he wakes up, and then his Durka's facial expression changes, and he like immediately goes and like goes to choke Rigel before like running out of energy and then like passing out again.
So we find out later in the episode that this whole like thing broke the mental like reconditioning.
So for whatever reason, this concussion
really
or
why,
arguably he got some brain damage or a concussion or like something, and it like, which means the mental reconditioning clearly wasn't that great if it can be undone by like banging your head against something.
Yeah.
But I guess the argument is you don't want to go back to who you are when you're reconditioned.
Yeah, 1 minute he's Revolver Ocelot, and then like a grenade goes off, and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm back, dear brothers!
Did you miss me, brother? So Revolver Ocelot turns out that you know, he just had a fucked up. He's a fucked up little guy. He's a fucked up little guy.
He's not that little. Dude's who plays him is quite tall.
He was born in the wrong country at the wrong time. He should have been in the Wild West. God damn it. Yeah, Farscape dude. So
that stylish duster and mechanical eye that he has.
Yeah. So yeah. Right. Or in the very least, Wild West. A movie that people forget exists.
I wish I could.
You wish you could. Yeah. I liked that when I was a kid. Okay.
So did I.
We don't have enough steampunk movies. Damn it.
I used to have the soundtrack to that movie on CD.
Wiki Wow. Yeah. Wiki Wow.
Which is funny that the movie had a licensed soundtrack on CD, because like the only song that was actually on it was the title track, Wild Wild West. The rest of it was just all like original songs by like rappers of the time.
Oh, huh. Yeah, I didn't know that. Well, in the Wild West, Chiana escapes her cell. Wouldn't you know it? I can't even really remember how. But shortly after she escapes, she broke. She broke her stuff.
She struggles a whole bunch, and then
I forgot about the struggle. Yeah, you just struggle enough.
Free. Yeah, you just struggle.
You just struggle enough, and you get free. Yeah, that's how it works. And well, gosh,
it's like another thing later in this episode where like Pilot is like, "Oh, I can't get the doors open," and Colonel Mitchell is like, "Damn it, Pilot! I need those doors open now. Get them open."
It's very much kind of like a hand wavy, like,
it's like
she cannot go any faster, Captain. And it's like, but then Scotty gets.
But then you just faster. Then the commander just yells at them, saying, "Damn it, we need more power,
and we need it 5 minutes ago."
And it's like, okay.
Or my favorite, it'll be at least an hour, and it's like you have 10 minutes. Those fucking tropes.
Yeah. Very common in Star Trek.
And yeah.
How long is it going to take to get to restabilize the warp core and get the engines back online? Oh, Captain, I'm going to need about 16 hours at the minimum. I give you 4. All right, I'll get it done.
And it's like, wait, what? Then they would say 4. But wouldn't you know it, Milk Toast Guy is found in one of the many labyrinthian hallways of Moya.
So,
He's stabbed.
now that you mention I thought his throat was slit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Stabbed in the neck.
Oh, he was stabbed in the neck.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, there's a pool
Knife
of blood
in
coming
neck
out of his
makes
neck.
pool blood. Yes.
Yeah.
Men dead.
I was going to mention, while I was watching this, I miss sci-fi like this.
Right.
Just really, like, lots of, like, corridors of, like, really, like, interesting and alien, like, set designs that are,
This
like,
in particular.
yeah.
Yeah. Where you're like, is that a door or just the wall? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, it's a door.
And it's like you're looking at it and it's like someone actually built that on a soundstage somewhere. Like people actually made this shit. Nowadays it's like you just get like CGI backgrounds.
Yeah, and they tend to be less interesting than this.
Yeah.
Like it'd be cool to, I mean, dismantled or like used for different things or whatever. It would have been cool just to walk through this.
Yeah, totally.
Right. And indeed, the hallways are very, it's not like, you know, like Zerg. It's not like the Lex where like the walls are fleshy or anything like that. It is still a spaceship, but everything's like rounded. Everything's an archway. The doors pivot and let you through rather than like slide to the side.
Yeah,
like
kudos to the production design team on this show.
Yeah. Yeah, set design, set engineering, like it's cool. I like it. I forgot it was kudos to like
I believe it's
character
called
wardrobe too.
Actually, I believe it's called the art department.
Is that what it's? Yeah.
Who decide like what the sets actually look like.
Yeah, kudos to them. Because I got a feel of what room they were in. Right? Like that very much you want to make no matter what camera angle you're using, make the rooms like different. Like, oh, this is the armory. Oh, this is like the storage area. You could tell because of all the boxes and the fog machines everywhere where Chiana was hiding. And I'm like, oh, it's cool that they have like a storage area. And she's like talking and her voice is echoing. And he's like, come on out, Chiana. And I'm like, why would she come out? You don't know where she is. And then she does.
So after she escapes, she breaks into Rigel's room.
And, like, the pillow.
I'm bringing this scene up specifically because I found it hilarious.
But it's also good acting from both of them. Again, I like the first half. She kind of over delivers in some of the second half of the episode.
So she puts a pillow over his face and is like, hey, buddy, we want the same thing. I want to get off this ship and
you want to kill Mr. Durka?
Like we're enemy of my enemy is my friend, basically, is all I'm saying, you know?
So if I remove the pillow, you're not going to scream, right? He's like,
And he's like, oh yes, we'll work together. I will tell you where the cargo hold is, where you can take a ship and escape, and I will even give you the access codes. And she's like,
I don't need that, bitch.
I could do that on my own. And he's like, well, I could create a diversion, and people will be so busy looking for me, trying to kill Captain Durka, that they won't even bother with you. And she's like, okay, it's a deal. And he's like, great. Grabs out his radio. The bitch is here. She's escaped. She's in my room. Come and help me, please.
Right, because they've tied him up in his quarters because, like, dude, if somebody tortured you for years, like, and I kind of like relate to like Rigel. I'm like, I'm killing that guy.
Well, and not only that too, he also tried to kill, as a result, tried to kill one of his shipmates too.
That part, hey, dude, I got off pretty light.
Yeah.
All things considering, right? Like you're not allowed to just try to kill, like rehabilitated or not, right? Like you can't just throw grenades at people, especially in a spaceship where decompression could happen, which we see later.
Spaceship.
Yeah, that actually like has nerves and feels pain.
And
Jesus Christ, dude!
You tried to kill Ben Browder in the process. I'd be like, you're
best.
going out a fucking airlock.
Nobody kills Ben Browder, especially in Farscape. He's not in Stargate yet. yeah, as soon as he's like, oh, but you'll have to untie me. And then, like you said, as soon as she like cuts his bonds, he's like, the bitch is in my quarters. She escaped. And she's like, you son of a bitch. I like
funny that immediately he's just like, the bitch is here.
I love
come
that.
And save me.
Because even above all else, right? He doesn't know this chick. Right? He's not conspiring against he's still a good guy.
Yeah.
And then they're like, do you think it's a trap? And it's like, well, even if it is, we need to check. And that's when they come across Milk Toast, McBrainwash body. And they probably, I don't have the episode up in front of me. They probably do something that every single show does ever. They probably kneel beside him and like check his pulse, even though there's like a pool of blood.
They didn't do anything like that.
No, I think they just ran past. Yeah, they were like, oh shit.
They just kind of glanced at it and were like, oh, Chiana's killed Buddy over here.
Wouldn't it be funny if he got up later and he's like, oh, I passed out, but I'm okay. I'm all right.
Some other bullshit happens, and then
well, wouldn't you know it, Durka makes his move and takes the bridge.
Durka like shaves his head and like takes his eye patch off, puts on shades, and puts
his SS officer back on, and is like, it feels good.
Trench coat, and is like, ha 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 ha! I'm back, Chris Redfield.
Have you missed me? And he's like, well, Mr. Vigil, it seems we meet again. And he's like dangling his hand over he just has like different implements of torture with him for some reason.
Prepare your anus for mine digits.
Prepare your anus for mine digits. There's a thing that's quite clearly just like a weird like chunk of metal that looks like a wrench. But it's a sci-fi torture device. Trust me. I love that kind of stuff. Where it's just like they found a piece of metal and they're like, you know what? We're going to add the sound effect. Like it's making static electricity sounds, but there's no visual effect. He's just holding up a piece of metal and they're like really afraid of it. And I'm like, it's a wrench. What are you guys afraid of? So yeah, there's some, let's see.
Claudia Black is here.
Right, because he knocks both of them out.
Yeah, and Claudia Black is here, and he's like, this must be an experience for you after reading about my legendary exploits. To finally see me here in the flesh. It's very boasty.
Must be quite something to see the legend in action, Mrs. Bond. And she's all like, actually, like, to find out that you actually just like escaped and let everyone on that ship die and you didn't die there with them, like, kind of makes you a bitch, huh? And he's like, well, I'm alive and they aren't.
Yeah.
Who's the bitch now?
I am actually a master tactician because I'm alive
and
they're dead. Yes.
Who has the last laugh now?
Spoiler alert, it's not them.
They're dead. He's not actually German, by the way, people. It's just his transformation is so literal. But I like it, by the way. I'm not making
so
fun of that
too. And I love the fact that he actually like gets out a knife and like cuts his hair and takes off the eye patch, and he's like, ha!
And he's got this mangled up like scar all over his like face and like a silver like metal eye.
Yeah.
Looks badass. And basically he starts ripping wires and stuff out of Moya's like control panels, and he locks himself in the bridge, and he takes Rigel's comm like badge, and he's like, Durka here. Yeah, I took over the ship. So yeah, you guys are going to reenact the star drive, and I won't kill the hostages. Sound good? Because he doesn't know, and the others. And this is where the second half we're going to kind of jump through, because the second half is a lot of running through corridors, being locked. Poor poor what's his name? Poor Farscape version of Klingon. He's like, now it's my time to shine. And he gets locked in a Jeffrey, like an organic Jeffrey tube, Jeffrey's tube, kind of, right?
Right.
And he's like, no, but I had a cool gun. And I'm like, you did have a cool gun. And you'll never get to use it. It's like gun is like two swords.
Yeah, it's a gun with like two swords at the end.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that way, if you go around a corner, you could
You can slash, you can stab, and you can shoot.
and you can shoot. Think of how dead that person is gonna be when you're but he gets locked in like a little tunnel.
Take that into the fight against 30 to 50 feral hogs.
It gives you a slight edge.
You'll kill more hogs than you even knew were there.
You even knew were there. And before you know it, you're surrounded by 60 to 70 feral hogs.
You thought you were just going to take on 30 to 50 feral hogs, but wouldn't you know it, 90 feral hogs lay dead on the ground around you. And you're like, well, shit. Put on a pair of shades.
You over the pair you're already wearing.
Yeah.
But no feral hogs are gotten from him, and we never see him for the rest of the episode, basically. Rigel's strapped to a table, naked, as his ex-torturer is like getting ready to be like, oh, time to help you revisit some old memories, huh? That's a shame. Perhaps I should have done more damage to you. Your pretty little face isn't missing anything major.
Well, Durga, if you're just going to kill me, then shut up and get on with it.
Oh, will you stop talking? Oh, please just kill me before I have to listen to further words coming out of that disgusting mouth of yours. And I'm like, damn! And then Rigel like going down with like a fucking going down, burning this guy hard.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well, perhaps I'll cut this pretty bitch over here.
Tell me, brother, what is it that peacekeepers are most afraid of? And he's like, fire.
Oh no. Oh yeah, right.
Fire.
Yeah. Humans in this universe don't do well against heat.
Extreme heat. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, neither do any of you.
He gets out his like his like space plier torture device, and is all like, fire in the disco, fire in the Taco Bell, bitch.
And we're to believe, by the way, this piece of metal that he has doesn't get like red hot. We're just led to believe it's maybe it kind of looks like a taser. I don't know. We're led to believe it's going to be painful.
It does kind of look like a taser, I guess.
And Rigel is like, torturing a helpless like woman. I always knew you were a pussy. And Dirk is like, what'd you say, bitch? And he's like, that's right. You didn't finish me off then, and you can't now.
Oh, I just remembered actually, like how Durka got the drop on them was because they were like, oh, Milquetoast Man is dead. And he's all like, no, it can't be.
And he fell to his knees, and he's like,
to the knees.
Milquetoast dead. And then for some reason, Sun
Claudia Black like stands like puts
away her weapons and goes right up next to him.
And he's all like, ha ha, and grabs her gun away from her.
And uses karate moves to like disarm her.
Yeah.
And then like kicks Rigel in the head and takes control of the bridge. So on the sidelines, we have Crichton trying to negotiate with Chiana, and we find out she's a little crazier and not as reasonable as she let on. And I like that every once in a while she has this like tick, and I'm like, oh fuck, this bitch is crazy. Don't do it.
There's one scene where she's like standing
the rule didn't
in this
exist.
Pose, like this.
Oh, when she goes out to talk to Durka to lie to him?
With like her legs like kind of spread and like her shoulders back and her arms extended out.
And her head down.
And she's got this like big smile on her face. And I'm like,
she's got a lot of crazy bitch poses.
Yeah.
I'm for it.
I'm like, okay, this chick is actually like kind of insane. I can see why they wanted to like put her through like reconditioning.
Yeah. But she tells that everyone, oh, and there's a medic, or there's a tall, like bald, like blue chick who's also pretty cool. But I'm not really sure what her role is in this episode because it focuses more on like Crichton and Chiana and Rigel, right? Who is that
Oh,
chick?
I don't know. I kind of got like
Because
first
she ends up
officer vibes
finding,
from her.
yeah, she goes around in like silk, like barefoot, and she seems like very like tall, ethereal. Like I want to know what her deal is.
Yeah,
She
seems
seems
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
And she ends up going and finding Pilot before all this, like, or as all this shit goes down, and she's like, "Hey, shit is going down," and Pilot's like, "Yeah, fucking sucks." He's like, "Cut me off from like interacting with Moya," and we probably because when he was alive, he had interacted with Leviathan like starships before and like knows how they work. And so there's discourse here and there between them.
So Crichton and Chiana like hatch this plan to like
After they
lure.
wrestle around and have like that tension of him like pushing her hands above her head. There's like 5 times in the episode I'm like, guys, just kiss, just fuck, and then
Crichton hatches this plan that he's going to use he's going to use Chiana as bait, and he actually like taps her nose in a very like amorous like kind of way. Like he taps her nose when he says,
you little devil,
you're going to be bait. And I'm like, yeah, someone's going to be baiting, all right. And so he comes up with this plan to like use her as bait to lure Captain Durka like into this one specific room, because Durka, when Claudia Black reveals to Durka that, or Claudia Black or Rigel, I can't remember, reveals.
Yeah, they reveal it's like it doesn't matter if you kill us or use us as hostages. The others can't like turn on their warp, their starlight anyway, because
they can't engage the
ship's pregnant,
starlight drive,
bro,
because the ship's pregnant. So he's all like, I know how to deal with this. And immediately it's like, yeah, just go kill the baby.
Of course, as somebody who has killed many a baby before, I see no problems with this. And he goes off to go kill the baby, and that's when like China it's China with a steel chair. Chiana comes out like crazy pose. That's probably your best chance to dodge bullets now that I'm thinking about it. Like get low, wide, act crazy. Like if someone's gonna shoot and they only get 1 or 2 shots off before you charge them, that's the pose you take. Right. And she ends up, he seems either the actress hasn't found her groove yet, or she's not, like you said, she over delivers some lines.
She's overacting most of the
time. Well, wouldn't you know it, Durka doesn't believe it. Doesn't believe it either, and he's like, okay,
because she's all like, oh, you're going to kill the baby so you can engage, you can turn the ship's starlight drive on, right? And he's like, yeah. She's like, well, where are you going? He's like, well, I'm going that way because that's where the baby is. And she's like, no. Who told you that? Was it them? They were lying to you. It's actually this way.
Of course the ship would lie.
It's actually this way. Come on, follow me.
Come on, you could trust me.
Yeah.
We're both bad guys.
Now,
and he's like, okay,
now,
you first, bitch.
We're going to run through this corridor.
He's got 2 guns, by the way.
We're going to run through this corridor. And now, let's open this door up. Just go in there. That's where it is. Go in that room. No,
and he looks and he's like, the room is just a dark storage room. I'm not going in there.
Like around on the like other side of the wall next to the door is Ben Browder, just like
holding
with what looks like a
spear.
I shit you not, to me it looked
an American gladiator.
It looked like a boat like rowing, like oar.
Kind of looks like an oar.
It looks like an oar,
like a metal oar. Ooh, a sci-fi spear. Yeah, he's just gonna bonk him on the head with it, and he's like,
he's gonna row his motherfucking boat.
And he's like, it's dark in there, and this feels like a trap. And she's like, no. And he's
Would
like,
I lie?
okay, I'm gonna kill you now. And he shoots her, and she's like, ah. And she jumps out of the way, gets shot in the shoulder, and then Crichton is like, ah, and like jumps out and like closes the door. And Dirk is just like confused. He's like, oh, okay.
Well,
And just like walks away.
good
Again,
thing
the
I didn't
second
go in
half,
there.
the second half of the episode could have been, there's like 10, 15 minutes that could have been like cut out.
And Ben Browder is like, "Hey, are you all right?" And Shiana is like, "Yeah, I'm
No,
fine.
bitch.
Go after him." Oh, by the way, that was a stupid fucking plan. And he's
Next
like,
time you go and get shot. Yeah.
and he's like, "What? It wasn't that bad. Just because it didn't work, you know."
Just because it didn't work doesn't mean it wasn't a good idea.
And she's like,
And,
"Whatever. Leave me alone. Go and catch him."
And that's what I mean about the writing. Like it could have fit in a smaller slot because like one guy's stuck in like an access tube. The other person's like shot in the shoulder, and she's just like, I don't know, gonna wait here. There's a lot of people just kind of waiting around in the second half,
Running through corridors.
But yeah, there is a scene that I like where when he's on the bridge and he's going to torture or kill Sun, Rigel starts like shit talking him. And he's like, "Oh, I always thought that like you were like a little bitch, and you know what? I'll die. You never made me talk. And you could come and you could torture me now and feel like a big man, but you know what? You're a failure and a coward. And I won't die a coward." And he gets to him a bit. And I'm like, I almost got like a little bit like shivery. I was like, holy shit. This like look, this guy knows how to shit talk. And it's a puppet. It's just like a puppet on the thing, but like the eyes are so expressive, and the voice actor. Oh man, he's fun. Having this like very posh like British man like destroy your psyche.
Like I said, he's almost Shakespearean.
Almost,
his
yeah.
delivery, yeah.
And well, he's like, okay, fine. And at one point, yada yada yada, he's going to go to that other ship, the little ship that needed repairs, because it has weapons on it.
Right.
And for some reason, he's like, oh, I'm just going to aim for the belly of this ship and just shoot, and that'll abort the starship baby. And Crichton comes out, and he's like, that's a fucking stupid idea.
And he goes bowling.
And he, are you sure you want to do that? I need to stall for as long as possible, because he like found Rigel's like explosive crystal bomb maker, and he's like making a bowling ball. And yeah, he goes bowling for.
It was a weird shot though, because before he actually like decides to, you know, like throw a strike, like roll a strike,
yeah,
or bowl a strike rather, he actually like holds it up because Captain Durka is in like the like little like transport ships like cockpit, looking down at Crichton through the glass, and Crichton is just holding up his bowling ball bomb for a very long time, and it's like, I don't know, it was a weird
symbolic.
It was a weird shot to me. It's like this guy could
to show that he has a bomb, but it's like, why not just use it? Don't give him a chance to shoot you.
Yeah.
Like, did you forget that this guy has guns? And the little shuttle that he has guns. So he goes bowling. The whole time they're in there, tall elf lady, and she does have like first officer vibes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Pilot are like, oh, freaking open the hatch. Let him get sucked out into space. And Moya can't do that. And then the explosion goes off, and well, wouldn't you know it, that was enough to jar the hatch open. And it wouldn't be a sci-fi if there wasn't what's it called? Decompressive explosive decompression or whatever.
Yes, Ben Browder like holding on to something as like he's being sucked back.
Close the door.
Close the hatch. And so after Durka is outside in this like transport ship that's been thrashed now because of the bomb.
Yeah, because now because of the bomb, it can't operate
yeah,
fully.
he's like, Crichton, save me. And he's like, no.
It's not gonna happen, bitch.
He's like, save me now, or I will hunt you down for the rest of your days. And Ben Browder's like, well, get in line.
Well, that could be pretty short. And technically, it's not like they're good necessarily good guys, but technically they could have went and got him and then put him in the brig and handed him over to the authorities or like whatever. But like, also, fuck that guy.
Well, indeed, Captain Durka Durka shows up again in season 2.
Son of a bitch.
According to IMDb. So when he's all like, you haven't seen the last of me.
Maybe not today.
He's actually
maybe not tomorrow.
Truth.
Yeah. And so it kind of ends with everybody being like, oh, Rigel and your bombs. And oh, wow, I can't believe you like stood up to torture. Like there's a moment between Sun and Rigel where she's like, hey, I wanted to talk to you. And he's like, oh, don't thank me for saving your life. That's unbecoming of you. And she's like, oh, I wasn't going to. And he's like, why not? I laughed. I laughed at that.
I think the episode ends with a scene between Ben Browder and Chiana where he's like, you can stay here, but we have rules on this ship. And she's like,
I don't care.
She's like tweaking. And it's like,
kinda.
Just let me off at the next planet. And he's like, this isn't a prison like transport ship. Like you can leave whenever you want. But
just like if you're gonna stay or while you're here, like be respectful, lady.
And she's like, well, you don't seem to have too many problems with me. He's like, well, I owed you one, but like
the others don't.
The others don't, and they're not going to be anywhere near as lenient because, well, they don't find you as hot as I do.
Is it? That's kind of what I was getting. They don't find you as hot. I'm giving you a longer leash, is what I'm saying, lady.
Yeah. So,
and he's like, oh, by the way, where were you when Silas? And yeah, that's what where were you when Mr. Milquetoast died? And she's like, I'll never tell. So it's like Nebulous who actually killed that guy because
she's
earlier
all like, does like this face, like, and it freeze frames to credits.
Yep, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I ended up in this situation. But earlier, back when Rigel and Sun and Dark were like talking, Durka were talking. They were like, "Oh, did you kill Silas?" And he just kind of like looks at them.
Yeah.
So it's Nebulous who actually was the murderer.
Spooky mystery.
Ooh. And well, that was
Farscape. Cal,
that was Farscape.
You just caught a random episode of Farscape. Would you tune in again?
How dare you ask Moya such a question? Man, yeah, like, yeah, definitely. And I think now that we found it on Tubi, by the way, folks.
Yeah, it's on Tubi.
Yeah, I want to watch this with my partner. I'm like, I feel like this is something that I would have grown up loving. And I've met multiple people that have been like, wait, Cal, like you've never watched Farscape? Like, dude, it's totally a Cal show. And I'm like, what? And then I'd check it out and I'd go, oh shit, yeah, I remember this. This is totally a Cal show. I should make it a Cal show. Yeah, I really liked this. I mean, imperfect, right? But man, there's so much to like about it. How about yourself? Would you tune in next week?
I would. Again, I mentioned that the episode could probably lose about 10 minutes of its runtime, but great acting, other than, Chiana, who, like I said, I felt like she was overacting throughout most of the episode, but great cast all around. Really interesting set design. It's kind of a sci-fi story that's somewhat original and doesn't really feel like overtly like influenced by Star Trek or Star Wars.
No, in the fact that instead of it being there's good guys and bad guys, and aliens make up both sides, there's a little more to it. Feels a little bit grounded, more tighter of a narrative, if that makes sense. Like less episodic and more, oh shit, we have to deal with these guys again.
Right.
Instead of like a Alien of the Week kind of sci-fi.
And I don't even get the sense that these characters on this ship are inherently like good guys or bad guys. They're kind of just people.
Yeah. Yeah, I got that too. And they were like, well, shit, we're on this ship. We have to, and they're so different. Like, again, whenever someone's like, oh, two peacekeepers on your ship, Crichton seems to always be like, hey, I'm human.
Yeah.
To separate himself from the war crimes of the peacekeepers. And everyone he meets is often like, oh, human, never heard of them before. Well, you look just like these assholes. So, right. And I think early on in season 1, that's part of like the plot is him being like, why the fuck are people like jerks to me?
Mm-hmm.
And well, there it is.
Yeah. And well, there it is. That was episode 77 of the Lasercomb podcast. Best way to support the show is go to patreon.com/lasercomb, LAZORCOMB. We're starting at the $5 tier. Much like our patron Daniel, you can pick a show for us to review a random episode of. And there's also commentary tracks, our weekly exclusive Patreon podcast, the Super Lasercomb Patreon Super Show, and a whole host of other goodies. So if you want to get in on that, go to patreon.com/lasercomb. Follow me on Instagram at Christopher Siege, SIEGE. That's basically the only social media I use nowadays. Or you can join the Discord. I'm not even going to bother plugging like Twitter or Blue Sky anymore.
Twitter is just insane.
Twitter is a cesspool.
It's a cesspool.
And Blue Sky is
a ghost town.
A ghost town, yes.
Threads was a thing for a while, but like
Threads was a thing
it's
for like
basically Instagram mixed with Twitter. So it's like, well, why not just use Instagram anyway?
And also not as good as either.
Yeah, but also not as good as either. So it's like we're on all those, but
I'm reminded of a line from the first episode of season 3 of The Mighty Boosh, which is a show we should cover on here.
Oh yeah.
Where the Hitcher is like, elements of the past and the future combining to make something not quite as good as either. So Threads is elements of Instagram and Twitter combining to make something not quite as good as either.
That is very accurate. It's not bad, but it's a thing.
Yeah, it is a thing that exists. But yes, follow me on Instagram or join the Discord.
Honestly, the Discord, like, we interact with
people like daily,
all the time. Yeah. Like if you tag us in like the Discord, we're often just like randomly talking about things, sharing GIFs.
Yeah, that's
pretty much it. If you like memes,
that's the place to be. Also, if you want kind of spoilers about what news stories we're going to talk about on the Super Show, that's a good place to find them.
If you want even more spoilers, as in you choose what we watch, just throw us a little money. You choose a show.
We actually just got a couple new patrons recently, so shout out to you guys.
Yeah, shout out. It's only a matter of time before they make us watch another 1, 2, 3 Penguins or fucking what did we really detest? Oh, it's out of my memory. I can't even remember that like animated
Tripping the Rift.
Oh god, Tripping the Rift, right?
3, 2, 1 Penguins.
Maybe there's something else out there that'll make like the top 3.
FUCK and you. Anyway, so Instagram, Discord. Cal, where can people find you besides the Discord?
TikTok. I think it's like Neo_Cal on TikTok. The Discord. I'm a cast member on an upcoming, a new show on Dork Tales that's Wednesday nights. And we just finished Dragonlance, which is
Ooh.
like a D&D module. That was like a year. And we're going on to Vampire the Masquerade,
Oh,
literally starting like in a couple days, episode 1, Dark Ages. So we start in 1198.
really?
Yeah,
The year of our Lord.
the year of our Lord, 1198. And apparently it's like a saga that after X number of like whatever happens, there are like time jumps. And after like, playing this weekly for months and maybe like a couple of years or whatever, it's going to end in like the present time. So it'll be weird playing an old vampire,
an old soul.
An old soul. Or, well, I think in that universe, vampires technically don't have souls.
No.
Or do they? I don't know.
I don't know.
That's part of exploring the character. I don't know. I'm gonna wear a jester hat, so that's gonna be fun. This thing.
Excellent.
This thing.
There it is.
My partner made it for me. Oh, hey, look! I found some zap straps.
Very gestury.
Thank you.
Jesterific. I'm wearing a new shirt today.
Oh, don't think I didn't notice. I was gonna be like, someone's matching the tank top crew of Farscape.
No, this shirt that I'm wearing actually was there is a like a kind of like sporty like store based out of Vancouver that I get a like corporate like partner discount at.
Oh, right, because that's part of a group. Yeah.
So once in a while I order things from there. And the shirt that I'm wearing, this like kind of acid wash like blue Vans tank top, was on clearance. It was regularly like $50 on clearance for like 10. And I'm like, sweet.
I need new tank tops.
Super comfy too.
Yeah, I'm a big I overheat, and I'm a big fan of good comfy tank tops. And I'm either I'm like, I'm not paying like over $10 for this. So like all my tank tops are either on clearance like that, or they're all like John McClane. Like they're 15 years old. They have holes in them everywhere. They barely fit.
Like what I'm wearing underneath.
They're all like, they all have stains. They're all like barely held together. And I had like a 10-pack that I bought like 15 years ago. And that's been lasting me.
I wear one every day.
Yeehaw. And inevitably, whenever I wear those shirts, I spill something on it.
Inevitably, whenever I wear one of those shirts, I end up crawling through air ducts in Nakatomi Plaza.
Without shoes, yeah.
Yeah. Don't even know how I end up in LA, but I put on one of those tank tops and it just happens.
Black out and you're just in a tower.
We'll be back next week with episode 78 of the LaserCone podcast, where we're going to be talking about our longtime patron and listener, Jared. One of his picks, his top pick, in fact, a show called Outlaw Star.
Outlaw Star.
It's an anime. It ran from January 8th, 1998 to June 25th, 1998. Never heard of it, but it's what we're watching next week. God damn it.
Look, my man Jared with the anime, that's what I'm talking about. Siege and I have very different relationships with anime.
Yes, we do. I'm going to hit share a screen so we can go to the old trusty random number generator.
This is looking kind of sick.
All right. 26 episodes. One random number between 1 and 26. And here we go. Where it stops, an outlaw star only knows 10. Gathering for the space race. Oh, shit.
Hell.
Another
we
space
always
race.
Land on space races. Hell yes.
The Outlaw Star reaches Hay
Fong.
Fong, and the crew enters the 13th annual Hay Fong space race with some financial help by a sponsorship from Fred's company in an attempt to promote Gene and Jim's business, and for Gene to gain more information about the El Dorado, the ship piloted by Ronald Ron McDougal and Henry Harry McDougal.
Oh, the McDougal brothers.
So yeah, that's what we're watching next week. And until then, I've been The Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm NeoCal.
Thanks for listening. We will Claudia,
Durka, you
we will Durka you next time.